So, Rick, we were having a healthy discussion the other day, and you said something to me that's kind of stuck with me. And what you said was marketing is a criminal enterprise, something along those lines.
Oh boy, yeah, no, I'm probably going to hear that from a few people. Marketing is a criminal enterprise, and hey, there are people who spend a lot of dough on marketing.
Sure.
And do I believe you need marketing? Absolutely. So I don't want to get a bunch of,
comments
and people blowing me up on this one. But, you got to really look at the tea leaves in terms of the revenue generating operations of an organization. Marketing can be considered criminal in the fact that I have a client of mine who spent upwards of $45,000 with a company who guaranteed them they would pour tons of leads into their queue. They have $45,000 in, they've gotten 3 leads. Now, to me, that's criminal, but it's also criminal to hook people into the fear of missing out. And I think that's one of the areas where organizations get tripped up with marketing. Marketing can promise a lot of things, right? There's a lot of sizzle out there, but marketing rarely delivers the steak. And so we have to keep marketing in perspective. Marketing should be designed for, brand awareness. It should be designed for, domain authority and marketing strength, and obviously what people see out there, from a branding standpoint. But the reality is, if we're sitting here and leaning on leads, and even leads are a subjective term, right? We have marketing qualified leads, sales qualified leads. Everybody's pointing the fingers at what should I be doing, and I think it really, really enables poor behavior from salespeople. So when things get tough, what do they want to do? They want to go to the marketing department and says, we're not getting good leads. And so this whole thing starts to cascade on itself. And, some of it was marketing's fault. Some of it wasn't. Our salespeople get addicted to the cadence and the marketing rhetoric out there that we can deliver this lead and that lead to you, and it doesn't happen. And so, they never develop the skills to go out and hunt and kill. Mm-hmm. And so this is where I come up to, marketing is a criminal enterprise. Now, there are some good marketers out there who know their stuff. Don't get me wrong. But the reality is, it's put companies in a space where they're addicted to the idea that they're going to get all these crazy leads and everything's going to be gravy once they get those leads. And right, they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to cultivate the leads. They don't know how to put them into the sales funnel or the process. And then they want to complain.
100%. And it sometimes it's getting that salesperson also to understand. And you and I, and we have to create our market every day. 20 years of doing this, our phone doesn't necessarily ring off the hook, right? And we've had to learn and become experts at hunting.
Yeah.
And when we get a lead, we're kind of like, oh, wow, this is kind of nice. But to us, it was never the lifeblood of our business, and it never will be. But to me, it's a superpower that we have, that we've learned the skills to cultivate relationships, right? And I use this term, it's the right term, but I don't like the sound of it. We're good at leveraging relationships to our next opportunity. And to me, outside looking in, it's a superpower.
Yeah.
Right? Because when marketing does pull and get that phone to ring, if I've already got a bunch of opportunities here that I've cultivated myself, homegrown, whether through its power networks or it's, out in the wild, and, I'm able to articulate our value proposition in a meaningful way that means something to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to find prospects that way. When that marketing stuff happens, right? That's just
put you on steroids.
It's just icing on the cake. Right?
So like the reality is like, the marketing as a criminal enterprise is really defanged, salespeople. I mean, so like if I'm a sales leader, I'm hiring people who can operate in a world where marketing is non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about that. What if marketing was non-existent in the world? What type of salesperson would you want? And my theory on that's the type of salesperson you should hire. All right, and then go ahead and sprinkle in your marketing, and we can support a healthy sales culture rather than trying to blame our sales culture on poor marketing.
Well, and I think you bring up a great point. Like if our back was against the wall, and let's just say you found yourself in a position where you were 100% commission only. There was no safety net. There was no salary, right? And if you don't go sell on a consistent basis, you're going to have skinny kids.
Skinny kids, yeah.
Like, what would you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Where your livelihood, your kid's livelihood, right? Your wife's, your ability to go out and do the things you want to do, your back's pinned against the wall, you're probably going to do everything to scratch, claw, figure out how to find opportunities, how to have discussions. But I think part of defanging, right, is sometimes salespeople get comfortable, right? They expect to get 10, 15 leads and then the month where, marketing doesn't perform and they get 2. Right. And now all of a sudden there's this heightened awareness.
The pipeline's no longer there.
Yeah. And now what do you mean? I got to go out and find that stuff.
Yeah. Marketing is criminal, but there are some really good marketers out there. Pick and choose wisely, but you also have to pick and choose your salespeople wisely too.
So Rick, whose fault is this? This marketing criminal enterprise? Is it marketing's fault? Is it sales fault? Is it leadership? And from my vantage point, how can we unify the two?
I think that's the age-old question. Like these are always sort of competing forces within an organization.
Sure.
Fair enough.
100%.
Yeah. So how do we unify these two?
How do we bring them together? How do we unify the language, right? From a branding perspective, right? But also from a business development perspective. That way the left hand knows what the right hand's doing. Marketing understands sales. Sales understands marketing, right? And it becomes less of a criminal enterprise, right? Because they're working fluidly together. And that, to me, is the issue and the challenge that most organizations face.
So how do they bridge that gap?
So from my vantage point, why wouldn't a marketer sit in a sales seat and a sales seat sit in a marketing seat? And when they truly understand what a marketing qualified lead is, what that definition is, right, from a marketing perspective, and that salesperson understands that. Reverse that. Now the marketing person sits in the sales seat, sees what comes over from marketing. Now they've got to turn that into a sales qualified lead. That's what I mean by the left hand doesn't understand what the right hand's doing.
And maybe I'll sprinkle a little more in there. I mean, you've opened up a really interesting conversation, right? How do we align the two? And I've been asked that question, and one of the ways we align is through opening up our marketing team and expose them to our strategic sales plan. They should understand the what and why, the how of that strategic sales plan. That strategic sales plan where we are going to identify what is strategic business to us. We're going to look at our key accounts, right? Those key accounts that drive lots of revenue, that do a lot of business with us. We're going to look at expansion opportunities where we're working on organizations to upsell, cross-sell. We're also going to look at attain. Where are we going to look at grabbing new portfolios into our book of business? Typically, that's where our competitors live. And then we're going to look at revenue recovery in the recapture bucket. And so when marketing can understand where sales is going to spend the bulk of their behaviors, maybe we can start to align some messaging around that to support a great sales ecosystem.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, One of the things that you and I adopted a long time ago, and we don't necessarily only train salespeople, right? We get executives and support
We've
staff.
had purchasing people in there.
100%.
I mean, they weren't very happy after what they heard, but we had them there.
But the interesting part is I love having marketing folks in the room, right? So they can see through the lens, right, of a salesperson. They can truly get an understanding of what it's like to sit in that seat. And I think at least the marketing folks that come through and spend time with us, it's impactful.
Yeah, well, maybe we can turn a few from being button pushers into real critical thinkers.
Agreed.